Hey there, awesome viewers. Welcome back to Manhwa Empire Recap. Before we dive into today's recap, we want to hear from you. Drop your favorite genre of manhwa or manga in the comments below, and let us know where you're watching from. Your feedback helps us bring you the content you love. Now, let's jump into today's recap and explore the incredible stories we have for you.
For our protagonist as a child, the world is beautiful. But as she grew older, she began to find the truth of humanity. That this world is infested with two-faced sinners who walk amongst us, wearing masks made of human flesh. People who deserved nothing short of death and an eternity of suffering in hell. She never imagined that she would be one of them. From asleep, then all of a sudden, her eyes widely opened. She tried to look at her surroundings, but couldn't see anything as it was dark. Then she found herself in a long line. She then called the attention of the person in front of her. The man looked back at her and answered, asking what she needed. Her face was taken aback by what she was seeing. The head of the man was cut off. Then the man asked her if something was wrong. The girl at her back affirmed that the man was beheaded. As she looked back, she couldn't help but feel a bit of confusion. When he looked at her, her eyes fell. She realized that everything she saw was dead. Then something pulled her. She was pulled to the top and eventually released from the grip, which made her fall to the ground. Then she found herself at the cemetery. But then she questioned herself where she was at. Then she saw graves. Out of nowhere, someone said that it was not obvious where she is. A man with a devilish smile is at the top of the statue, the same man who answered her back. Then he confirmed to her that she was in hell, calling her a filthy sinner. She tried to check her surroundings and was all covered in flames and darkness. She questioned what she meant by hell. Then the devil jumped down from the statue. She was scared when he was advancing towards her. She ponders what she has to do. She thought of running, fighting, and escaping the place. Stuck to where she stood, she didn't know what to do at that moment. Then the devil reached out for her hand. The devil giggled and declared that he was a huge fan of her, which left her confused. Then the devil added that he waited for her for a long time to die as he was her favorite sinner. Then the devil picked on her hair, highlighting how bad it was, but on the other hand, commended her body as it was in perfect condition. The protagonist stopped the devil. Not believing it, she asked if she was already dead. The devil confirmed it. Then she asked back the devil why she ended up there as she couldn't remember anything. The devil told her that in life, she was the worst of the worst, so he kept an eye on her in particular. The devil added that he was going to send her to an eternity in the ninth circle, but decided that her situation was perfect to fulfill a certain job for the devil. That's why the devil decided to grab her from the judgment, as someone like her has no chance of redemption. Then she pondered what she did that she was categorized as bad as he described it. She then asked what type of job she had for her. With a devilish smile, he told her that she would become the Grim Reaper. She can't help but show her face how unbelievable sounds. To contest, she asked if there would be no severe image issues. The devil answered her that she looked old for the role. Being old struck into her heart, couldn't accept that she was old already. But then the devil shrugged all the jokes and further explained to her the whole Grim Reaper thing. The waking world is full of sinners walking around without a care. They're marked with an X, visible only to a Grim Reaper. The devil further explains that's where the role comes in, reaping the soul of a sinner that will send them straight to hell, and all the Grim Reaper needs to do is kill one a day to meet the quota. After explaining it to her, the devil reached out for a handshake, sealing their deal. While looking at the hands of the devil, she can't help but think. Then she asked what would happen to her if she refused. Still offering his hand, the devil paused momentarily. Then he answered her that her sentence in hell would begin immediately. Then in a snap, she found herself alone in the darkness. She tried to open her eyes, but couldn't see anything. And then she couldn't feel anything. She tried to check her body, but she couldn't feel anything. There's as if nothing at all in that condition. She tried to reach for her neck, holding it firmly. She uttered she didn't want to be alone. Then she heard a snap. She was back in the setting where she was with the devil, and she was gasping for air. Then the devil told her that the situation shown to her was where she would spend her eternity. She is in a state of being unaware or unconscious of what is happening to her right now. The devil added that a sinner will be sent to one of the 9 circles, depending on a person's actions in life. Looking at her directly, told her that she would be sent to the 9th with a frightening tone. It is where the void of absolute nothingness exists. The state where she will exist until the end of time itself, which means forever. The devil then goes back to her offer. She beamed, thinking that she didn't have that time to think. She answered the devil that she didn't have a choice, sealing the deal to be a Grim Reaper. The devil then utters that he knew from the start she would accept the deal. Then the devil confirmed with her that they had reached an understanding. With determination on her face, she confirmed the decision to be the Grim Reaper. Then all of a sudden, she was pulled towards the air. The process of accepting the power to be a Grim Reaper began. She added that the devil is a one messed up guy. Then with a laugh answered her that she should expect it as he's a devil. Then she fully completed the process of getting the power as a Grim Reaper. She also had this cape on her, adding the touch of all of it. With her new look, she got this white dress with an X to it, with a cape on, and with her red eyes, she's determined to fulfill her new role as a Grim Reaper. The concept that every stranger is living a life as complex as your own is called Sonder. In this world, you pass thousands of people daily, their secrets hidden by simply being part of the crowd. But right now, she can see the mark. Every X raises more questions than answers, and gives her more opportunities to meet her quota, and she thought of this while on the side of the road, standing. She added that no one even notices her, and everyone is so wrapped up in their problems, even though she looks ridiculous. She then showed Devil's smile, thinking of all of it. Back in hell, her face still not accepting the fact that she's a Grim Reaper holding her scythe. For her, she's wearing a terrible outfit for the role. But the devil dismissed it and told her that the outfit was designed by an entire team of experienced professionals. Still not comfortable with her outfit, she advised her to tell his team that it looked like garbage. Then the devil provided her with options that she could wear the second design, which was inspired by a sexy cat girl. She makes a joke if the devil would like her to be a kind of doll. Back to waking life, she realized why she cared for what she was wearing, as the most pressing matter right now is her being a Grim Reaper, as if it was a dream. Then he remembers the rule that she needs to kill a sinner one day at a time, but then she doesn't know how to start. Then she wondered where she could find a sinner, but all of a sudden, a man got her attention and had a red X mark on him. The man noticed that she was wrapped up in her thoughts and asked her why. She then answered him that she was just thinking of her boss. Then the man invited her to eat if she wasn't busy. She can't help but think about the guy. He does not look like a sinner. But then he had an X mark on him. She agreed to go with him. Back in her mind, she thought of finding out more information about him. They arrived at the restaurant that serves ramen. While eating his ramen, the guy thanked her for coming out with him. His name was Jordan, and then he asked him for hers. Then she wondered what would be her name. She affirmed she had a name, but still couldn't say it. Jordan, still waiting for her answer, thought of Grim, Reaper, and Cross as her name, but eventually crossed them out. She's still in the state where she thought what would be the best name to use. Then out of nowhere, she said the name Scarlet. Jordan was happy and he knew her name, but Scarlet could not believe it. Jordan highlighted to her how beautiful her name was. Scarlet thanked the man, but back in her mind couldn't believe that Jordan had fallen for it. Jordan then opened a topic about her boss and asked more. Scarlet was taken aback by the sudden question and didn't know what to tell him. Then she told Jordan that her boss gave her a lot of work with a ridiculous deadline and threatened to fire her if she couldn't finish it. She added that she's wondering if what her boss told her to do is even possible. Jordan is attentively listening to her stories while he's slurping his pasta. Ben, with his charming smile, praised her for being strong, and he was lucky to have known her. Scarlet couldn't speak while watching the man, and he thought about how this man became a sinner. The mystery continues with the man's personality. Later that night, Jordan and Scarlet are still together while strolling the city, engaged in a conversation about Jordan's work. Then all of a sudden, someone bumped them. Scarlet raised her head to check who it was. Then he saw a man with a red X mark on him. The man is distraught about the sudden collision. Then Scarlet watches her from afar. Then the man runs away as someone is looking for him. This can't help Scarlet to think why every sinner looks so innocent and there might be a mistake with the rules. Then Jordan caught her attention when he mentioned that it was almost midnight. Then she remembered the deal she made with the devil. She needs to kill one sinner per day. Then Jordan invited her to go to his place. But Scarlet declined and asked him to walk her home instead. To which Jordan agreed. Scarlet is struggling as she doesn't want to kill Jordan. For her, Jordan did nothing wrong and it is not fair. But if she does not do it, she will be sent to the ninth circle, alone for eternity. Scarlet doesn't want that to happen. Then she realized that Satan won and she decided to kill Jordan. Then she released her power, planning to kill Jordan to fulfill her quota for the day. Jordan was taken aback by what he was seeing, disbelief profound in his face. Scarlet transformed into her form as the Grim Reaper. Then Jordan asked her who she was. Then Scarlet, holding her scythe, getting ready to kill, told Jordan that she is the Grim Reaper. Jordan, still stunned in his current position, couldn't grasp the reality of what he was seeing. He was shocked and at the same time scared of what was about to happen. Then Scarlet advances towards Jordan, fulfilling the task of taking the life of a sinner. Then Jordan feared for his life and looked at Scarlet about to attack him. He reached out for the knife in his pocket, thinking to use it in defense. Then he stops Scarlet and tells her to not get closer, threatening her with his knife. Then Scarlet knew at that moment why he was a sinner. On the other hand, confusion still clouded Jordan, told Scarlet that he wouldn't hesitate to kill her if she came any closer. Then Scarlet proceeded with her plan to execute and slice his body in half. Jordan's blood splattered everywhere as Scarlet stood watching him die. Then Jordan still couldn't grasp the reality of what's going on now. Then Scarlet apologized to him. Then Jordan was slowly succumbing to death. Before he lost consciousness, he called out for the Grim Reaper. He then told him that they were on the same side. Jordan was mocked because he's wearing a cross even though he's a sinner. The devil thought of it as ironic. At the hell, Jordan was in the middle of the darkness, thinking about what had happened. As he wandered around, he asked himself if it was a dream. He tried to look at his surroundings. Then he asked if he was really killed. The devil and Scarlet were present at the moment, looking at him. Then Scarlet told him that he was marked as a sinner. Furthermore, she explained that Jordan was there, and she was pressured as she had to kill one sinner a day, pointing out that Jordan was the easiest target at that moment. Then Jordan couldn't believe what he was hearing and was confused about why he was a target. Then Jordan let out a loud laugh. He then added that he should have slit Scarlet's throat the moment they walked into that alley. Scarlet, looking at him, left her disordered. The devil was grinning, looking at the current situation unfolding between Jordan and Scarlet. Then he added that an X marks a sinner. He convinced Scarlet that Jordan was a sinner. Jordan lures women to his apartment using his beautiful face and calming aura. Then he will do horrible things to them. At this point, the devil tells Scarlet that Jordan is a serial killer. Jordan already has killed 10 women. If Scarlet hadn't executed him, she would have been the 11th victim. But the circumstances have changed and the tables have turned. Then Scarlet turned her gaze to Jordan. She asked him why he had to murder, adding, "What's the point of murdering someone?" Jordan grinned, told Scarlet he was selfish. Jordan added that he liked the high of watching the blood drain from a beautiful woman. No remorse was noticeable on his face while he told them his side of the story. For Jordan, the filthy world has gone, and he's just having fun, since everyone is going to die at some point and no one cares anymore. Then Jordan was pulled back. Scarlet watched her with disbelief. Scarlet told him how disgusting he was. Hands tightened, Jordan was slowly devoured by hell. Still not finished, he asked Scarlet how serious she was by what she said. While hell devours him, he tells her that they're the same as Scarlet took her for a date, lured him into the alley, and murdered him. Questioned Scarlet if they were any different. Then Jordan was finally put to the 6th level. Those words left a significant thought on Scarlet. Then the devil told her that the sinners are drowned for an eternity at the bottom of hell's ocean, dragged down by their sins. Jordan was feasted by the elements of hell. Scarlet still couldn't speak, and Demon tried to get her attention by calling her name. And Scarlet let out a deep breath. After a while, he called Satan. Many questions played in her mind. She asked Satan how Jordan was sent to the 6th level when she was at level 9. What did she do in his past life? Satan just smiled. He didn't answer Scarlet's question because it would just spoil the fun. Scarlet couldn't help but think about something and was even more confused by Satan's answer to her. Scarlet was shocked when her surroundings changed and she returned to waking life. While looking at her trembling hand, she asked if what happened was true. She looked around, and there she saw the lifeless body of Jordan. Scarlet still can't believe that she managed to kill someone. Her eyes widened at the discovery. She was about to run away from Jordan's body, cursing about her situation. She really couldn't believe that Jordan's body was there and that she killed him. Suddenly, she ran away and fast. When she turned around, she was suddenly stopped by a gun pointed directly at her head. And then she noticed that the man she bumped into earlier was the same man who was pointing a gun at her. You can see in Scarlet's eyes the fear of the lurking danger. While the man was looking at her with a serious look while the gun was still pointed at her, the memory of Satan flashed through her. Satan said she was a puppet. While he was saying this, she was just looking at him without feeling. While laughing, Satan added that he was a puppet with a demon inside. You will see the intense conversation between Scarlet and Satan. Scarlet suddenly answered with a teasing smile. Confused, she asked Satan if she should know what he was saying. Like a child, Satan was disgusted by Scarlet's shallowness, and he added that he still needed to spell what he meant. Satan went on and said, Jordan and she are dead, and their bodies are probably off rotting in some ditch. Satan further explained that this is an issue right now. Scarlet is just a soul right now with no corporeal form, and she can't access the land of the living. But they are lucky because he is Satan, and there are many ways to do it. He told Scarlet that he used his abilities to make a flesh puppet to be controlled by Scarlet's soul. It's still like Scarlet's old body, and when inside, it's like nothing has changed other than being alive. And because of this, Scarlet's body is fragile. He gave a warning that even though he gave Scarlet the power to become the Grim Reaper, she can't be reckless because her puppet can be injured like other toys. If Scarlet destroys her puppet, then she will say goodbye to her role as Grim Reaper, as it's hard to kill if her body is broken. At the moment, the man is still aiming his gun at Scarlet. The man also has a red X mark. Scarlet believed the gunshot would kill her. Scarlet thought if she should just kill the man, but if she did that he would still shoot her. The man was looking at Scarlet seriously, while Scarlet is thinking about her safety and how to escape the situation. Without a word, the man lowered his gun. The man looked down, and suddenly he apologized to Scarlet. Scarlet couldn't believe it and stared at the man angrily. She answered angrily and couldn't believe that he was asking for forgiveness. The man acted without thinking, so he apologized, but there was a reason why he did it. The man saw Scarlet and the other man go to the alleyway, so he ran there because this place is very dangerous for a woman. And suddenly the man was asked where the man with him had gone. Scarlet was just silent and seriously looking at the man. The man added that he heard a scream and now he could smell iron in the air. But he stopped and looked at Scarlet and asked her if what she smelled was blood. Moments passed and no one spoke. Scarlet thought she had to kill him. The smell of blood was so strong that even though Scarlet was far away from Jordan's body, she could still smell it. The man got angry and asked Scarlet if the man who was with him attacked her. Scarlet was suddenly stunned by this question. And at that time, the man introduced himself as a detective, adding that if the man attacked her, Scarlet had to go with him to the police station to file a report. Scarlet suddenly wondered why the man thought so shallow. And then Scarlet realized that if the detectives in that city were incompetent enough, because a dead person would just wander the streets and still have time to prey on women. She suddenly thought of Jordan. She stopped suddenly and thought that he could take advantage of the situation. She needs to gain the trust of the police officer, and he can bring Scarlet to so many sinners. Scarlet is sure that the police will not mind what she does because the suspects in their care are reduced. Scarlet was convinced of her plan. He answered the police officer's question that she had run away from the crazy man, and while she was running, she met him with a gun. It's hard for Scarlet to trust, especially since the man she's talking to have a mark. She asks him if he's really a detective and will help her. The man immediately apologized and said he only did that because the situation called for it. The man showed his police badge to Scarlet, and he introduced himself as Chase, and he was ready to help him. Scarlet breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. She told the police that she is ready to cooperate with them in any way. The police agreed with what she said. Silence fell over them as they stared at each other in the darkness of the alley. In Scarlet's mind, the police is a fool, while the policeman was smiling looking at Scarlet. Chase and Scarlet walked out of the alley together. Scarlet followed behind Chase as they walked towards the police station. Scarlet still can't give full confidence that Chase is a detective, because Chase is also a sinner. C added that the police force is so corrupt that they allow criminals to become detectives. But in the end, she just let it go because the situation was win-win for her. But if Chase hurts her like Jordan did, she knows she has to kill Chase to fulfill her quota of a sinner a day. At that time, Scarlet just smiled at the thought of her plan. But she still hopes that Chase will be useful to her so that she will let him live. Finally, they reached the YNPD police station. They went to the front desk together. People around were whispering, seeing Scarlet and Chase walking together. Scarlet noticed this and wondered why they were looking at them. She stopped, noticing that they were only looking at him. Then she remembered her mother because of the situation she was involved in again. Escorting her to the police station doesn't do Scarlet any good. He blames Satan because his outfit is ugly. People ask what Chase is doing at the police station, but Chase doesn't care about it. The rest of them wondered if Chase felt any shame. While Chase was quiet and kept walking, but his face showed that he was anxious. Chase suddenly looked at Scarlet behind, and he told her to just wait there, and that he just needed to get the paperwork they needed. Scarlet just nodded in agreement. Scarlet just looked at Chase as he walked into his office. Scarlet looked for a seat, and she sat next to the boy who was playing his PSP player. The boy noticed him. Out of the blue, the boy asked her mockingly what cartoon her costume was from. On the other hand, Chase was in front of a door, wondering if he should enter or not. The office belongs to Chief Detective Veronica Carter. Chase took a deep breath, and he pushed the door in and announced it to let her know that he was coming in. Veronica can be seen in a room, not expecting Chase's arrival. Chase finally entered, and there was silence in the office. Veronica suddenly spoke and angrily asked what he was doing there and if the receptionist just let him in. Veronica added that what Chase is doing is no longer possible, showing up there whenever he wants. A case file labeled Case X can be seen on the table. Chase's eyes were still focused on the case file, while Veronica asked him if he was listening to her. Chase placed his hand on the table with determination. Suddenly, he told Veronica that he needed access to Case X. Veronica was suddenly stunned by what he said. She wanted to ask Chase how he found out about it, but she didn't continue and said he couldn't see it. He adds that Chase is no longer a detective. But Chase said that was the very reason why he needed access to that case. For Chase, when Case X is given to him and he can solve it, he will prove that he deserves to be a detective again. Veronica couldn't help but smile at the determination she saw in Chase as she looked at him. But she warned him that this was not just a simple case. Veronica remembered the time she had to cover up what Chase had done, and there was a big possibility that he would never be allowed to come back. Chase was just looking at Veronica. With a grin on his face, he suddenly told her that Veronica did not understand the situation. And he said that he was holding the suspect in Case X and that she was just sitting outside the office. Veronica couldn't believe what Chase said. Annoyed by this, she asked what he was saying and added that what he was saying was impossible. With conviction, Chase said that the lady in the case had a scar on her mouth, and he was not mistaken that the suspect was the same. Chase begged Chief Veronica to allow him. Veronica couldn't stop him anymore and yelled at Chase. In her annoyance, Veronica gave classified information that there was no suspect in Case X but a victim. The information is only the autopsy report and the victim's body as in the morgue. Chase couldn't believe what he heard from Veronica. He thought carefully about what he saw. He doesn't know if Veronica is serious, but if it's true, the woman in the morgue and the woman he brought look alike. Chase clutched his head as if it was hurting from thinking too much. He changed his strategy and gently begged Veronica to give him one more chance to redeem himself. And around this time, it was revealed that Veronica was Chase's mother. Veronica let out a long sigh. He scolded his son for fake crying. Veronica hands a file to Chase and tells him that there is no Case X, but Chase can start investigating a case in the file. Veronica's face showed doubt. He told Chase that the case he was given was chosen only for Chase. Chase walked out of his mother's office, feeling content. Scarlet was still waiting for him sitting on one side, and she thought that Chase took a long time to do what he did. Scarlet stood up and followed Chase. Scarlet asked Chase if he got the paperwork he wanted, but Chase says it's unnecessary. Chase turned to Scarlet and said they needed to talk. Chase and Scarlet go back to the dark alley to talk. Scarlet is confused by what is happening. Chase just looked at her directly and seriously. Out of nowhere, he asked her name. But she didn't answer it right away and just looked at Chase. In the end, he told her that her name was Scarlet. The things Chase wanted to know didn't end there. He asked Scarlet why the alleyway smelled like blood earlier. Scarlet was stunned as she stood there. Then Scarlet replied that Jordan attacked her, so she took him to the police station. But Chase couldn't believe what she just said because she didn't even have a wound. And how the smell of blood is so strong. Scarlet just looked at Chase. He smiled and asked Chase what he wanted to imply. Chase thought of an answer, but he suddenly turned away from Scarlet, and he said that what he experienced was only suspicious. Chase added that how Scarlet's face is the same as the woman in Case X. Chase's revelations shocked Scarlet. Chase said that he lied to her, that the truth is that he brought her to the precinct because he thought Scarlet was a suspect in a case. But the woman is dead and her body is in the morgue. Scarlet couldn't speak yet, and that's when she realized that it was her own body. Chase scratched his head while telling Scarlet that they still look like a girl and that there seems to be something wrong with the current situation. And suddenly Scarlet asked him how the woman who looked like her died, curiosity visible in her face to know more about what happened to her. But Chase has no idea what happened to her because he doesn't have access to the case file. Chase is down, but he says it's top secret and whoever can solve the case is a genius. Scarlet was still looking at Chase and was interested in everything Chase had to say. Chase declared to Scarlet that he was determined to solve this case. He added that even though Scarlet is suspicious for him, he cannot legally arrest her. As long as he has not proven it, and he is not sure that it is not related to Scarlet, he will not let her go. Scarlet grinned in annoyance. She also realized the situation she was facing now. She and Chase just looked at each other while the surroundings were deafening in silence. Scarlet suddenly spoke and said that having the same face in a high-end case was a problem for her. Scarlet gave a deal to Chase because Chase wouldn't let her go. Chase gave interest in the deal that Scarlet was talking about. Scarlet told her that she can stay with Chase until she can prove that she is innocent and that Chase can also use her face to help. But in return, Chase will help her find something she's missing. Chase suddenly asked what it was, but Scarlet said it was a secret for now. He reached out her hand and asked if they had a deal. Scarlet is waiting for Chase to accept the deal she is offering him, but Chase still doesn't fully trust her. Scarlet is patiently waiting for his decision. And finally, Chase reached for Scarlet's outstretched hand. They shake hands to seal the deal. Under the red moon, a man with bunny ears can be seen watching. He took out his cell phone and took a picture. Traces of the depth of the night is visible. Chase noticed someone following him. Chase stopped walking. While Scarlet wondered why he stopped, Chase started asking questions. He turned to Scarlet and asked her why she followed him to his apartment. Scarlet bit her finger as she thinks. She told Chase that she followed him without any reason and she didn't think about it. Chase told her to go home and he would just give his cell phone number to her and they would meet in front of the police station the next day. But Scarlet said she doesn't have a cell phone and she doesn't have a home either. For Chase, this was the saddest thing he had ever heard. Scarlet was about to leave and said she would just sleep on the bench. But Chase stopped him. In annoyance, Chase said that what she was planning was too dangerous. On the other hand, Scarlet thanked Chase for his goodwill to let her stay in his apartment. Chase couldn't believe what he was hearing from Scarlet. But on the other hand, he thought that he could watch over Scarlet if they were together. He gave Scarlet a warning if she was allergic to cats. When he opened the door, his cat was patiently waiting for his arrival. The cat is happy with the arrival of his fur dad. Scarlet was annoyed to see the cat. Chase introduces his cat, whose name is Light Stalker, the Banisher of the Void. He tells Scarlet to respect his cat, and that this is the most important thing to her. You'll find some clothes on a table in Chase's room. There is also a picture with his cat and a few note schedules on his work. Scarlet smiles and thinks Chase is a turbo dork. Carrying the pillow, Chase tells Scarlet that she can lie on the floor because her apartment is cramped. Scarlet has no problem with such a setup because for her she is often away and doesn't sleep much. Chase angrily warns Scarlet and tells her not to move or touch his things because they are very expensive. Scarlet agreed with him. Annoyed, Chase asks Scarlet if Scarlet always does things like this, inviting herself into people's houses and judging them. But Scarlet returned the question to Chase if he was always pointing a gun at anyone in the alley. Chase just sighed. On a serious note, Chase tells Scarlet to listen. He tells Scarlet that they are not friends, that he is only using her to solve Case X, and that Scarlet is using him to find her thing, and he hopes they don't cross their boundaries. Chase took Scarlet's hand, annoyed by her. He took out his handcuffs and put it on Scarlet's hand. He also tied it to a door handle of a cabinet. Chase says that he doesn't trust Scarlet, that's why he's doing it. While Chase was sleeping, Scarlet was wide awake next to him. She tries to remove the handcuffs on her, and she broke it. She tried to observe the surroundings. It was late at night and everyone was asleep. She came down from the apartment and walked. She continued walking. Out of nowhere, Scarlet noticed something. She sees a woman smoking with an X mark. The woman saw her, and she was also stunned. Scarlet continued walking towards the girl. The city was enveloped in darkness. Scarlet is getting closer to her next sinner target. She couldn't stop thinking. For her, her search was too easy. The woman was afraid of Scarlet approaching. Without a word, Scarlet took out her scythe and attacked the woman. The woman couldn't move anymore, and the scythe hit her hair and sliced it. She couldn't believe what Scarlet had done to her. After Scarlet swung her scythe, it clattered with a heavy sound. Scarlet did not succeed in killing the woman. Scarlet couldn't believe herself and what she was doing. The girl was terrified of Scarlet, so she quickly turned around and ran away from Scarlet. Scarlet just watched the woman as she ran away. Again, she raised her scythe and asked for the woman to fall. Suddenly, the woman felt something on her feet. The woman could not believe what was happening. Her feet tripped, and she was surprised by what happened. The woman fell because of Scarlet. She looked back at Scarlet with a mixture of anger and fear in her eyes. As Scarlet couldn't stop herself from carrying out her plan, she raised her scythe to strike the woman once more, who was now lying down as a result of her falling. Then the woman suddenly begged Scarlet to stop what she wanted to do to her. Crying, the woman asked Scarlet if she was from Red Spades and added that she had never done anything wrong to her. But Scarlet doesn't know what red spades are. But she told the woman that she only knew one thing, and that the woman was a sinner. Continuing to cry, the girl could not understand what Scarlet meant that she was a sinner. Out of nowhere, Scarlet swung her scythe and killed the woman. Back to hell. Although the surroundings are beautiful, in the middle of red clouds and beautiful scenery, the surroundings are sad and full of darkness. Satan told Scarlet that what this sinner she brought was boring. Scarlet couldn't believe what Satan said. Satan couldn't accept Scarlet couldn't do more. He added that the first level of Scarlet's haunting was unexciting. Scarlet didn't know what Satan meant because she sent a sinner for him. The new sinner brought by Scarlet wonders and asks what place she's at. The woman is still trying to convince them that she did nothing wrong and that she did not deserve what happened to her. And then Satan answered the woman that she earned her place in hell as a sinner. He further said that the woman worked at the 5-star restaurant for 15 years with a love for snails. That every day the woman will eat a snail from the customer's plate, and in total she stole more than $500,000 in snails. This left Scarlet with many questions. Satan sentenced the woman to eternity in the first circle. Satan added that her punishment is that she will be chased by snails for the rest of her life. And when it catches up with her, her whole body itches endlessly. And the woman asked if that was her only punishment. Satan ordered her to run while his mind was not yet changed. And in an instant, the woman disappeared. For Scarlet, the woman's sin was too shallow. Satan told that the first circle is different from other circles. He went on to say that there are many people in the first circle, but since this area is so vast, it is unlikely that you will see anyone, and for him the real punishment is loneliness. Scarlet just listens silently to Satan. The Scarlet said that if there is hell and limbo, there is also probably heaven. To which Satan replied with a joke that there is a heaven full of angels and other craps. And Scarlet asked if there is also a god, to which Satan agreed. Curious, Scarlet asked if there are reapers in heaven, but for good people. To which Satan replied that there are, and they are called archangels. Instead of an X mark for sinners, what the archangels will see is halo to mark a virtuous person. Satan added, they can ascend those people straight to heaven if they wish. But he said that he would never meet such a person. For Scarlet, it doesn't make sense, because for her the things that happen are so random. An example is the woman she just killed, and how she became a sinner just because she ate snails. Satan immediately hit that she became a sinner because she stole. Those snails have a monetary value, and because she steals every day, it's piling up thousands of dollars in poached snails. Another example of this is the Mona Lisa painting. Because it's just a painting, when someone destroys it, the person who destroyed it becomes a criminal. He added that humans have put value to it far beyond what literally is. But Scarlet answered him that Mona Lisa is only one, and the snails can be found in many places. To which Satan immediately replied that if he thinks like that, then it's okay to kill people because there are many people in the world. He added that where they are now is a hell for humans, and he is the judge of human sins based on what they have done. For Scarlet, Satan enjoys what he does. She also said that Satan is pure evil. But Satan only smiled, and he said that if Scarlet continues what she says, he might fall in love with her. Whereupon Scarlet felt disgusted. Satan reminded her not to be too judgmental, because there is no forgiveness for sins in the circle of hell. Scarlet sits down and tells Satan that she has a hard time believing that she is the worst sinner. But Satan tells her that she is not the worst, because there are other sinners in the 9th circle who have done worse than her. Like serial killers, scummy businessmen, world leaders, and other types of 9th level sinners. Scarlet asks Satan who is the worst. But Satan just responded, the worst sinner is not found in the ninth circle. And they don't deserve just punishment either. Scarlet has returned to Chase's apartment, and she wondered why every time she got an answer, she had more questions. She entered and closed the door. Chase was sound asleep. Then he slowly opened his eyes. He opened his eyes while sitting up in bed. But then he saw Scarlet nearby and his eyes got big with surprise. He's really mad because Scarlet managed to slip out of her handcuffs. Then he demanded to know why she was spying on him. Then Scarlet said she's just waiting for him to wake up. After that, he wanted to know about the handcuffs. Scarlet displayed the busted handcuffs to him. Chase playfully said to her that he's amazed he's still breathing. While Chase fixes himself up, Scarlet sits quietly, pondering how every day, everyone hopes for some kind of rescue or help. Because of how crazy the world is making her feel, it's tough for a lot of people to stay calm like she does. Sometimes, she wondered if she should just let everything go and give in to her most basic urges to take things that aren't hers or to end someone's life. But why does it matter anyway? Meanwhile, Chase unscrewed the cap of his medicine bottle. He took a pill. But Scarlet keeps thinking that someday everyone will die. Then Chase attempted to catch Scarlet's attention by saying her name. He asked Scarlet to go with him today. Uncertain, Scarlet said yes. Chase took out his weapon and handed it to Scarlet because he wants her to keep it safe for him. Scarlet feels worried about why she would require this thing. Then she replied, asking why he would give it to her since he doesn't know her at all. She said she could easily harm Chase with this. Decided to hand Scarlet the gun, he thinks. If Scarlet wanted to harm him, she wouldn't have to use a gun. Then Scarlet grinned mischievously. She reached for the gun, agreeing to what Chase had said. Outside an apartment building, it's super quiet and kind of spooky. Scarlet and Chase stood before a door, patiently waiting for it to open. Scarlet couldn't stop herself from looking closely at Chase, wondering why they were there. Then suddenly, the door made a clicking sound and swung open. A lady timidly said hello as she peeked through the door. Then suddenly, Chase shifted to a vibrant and friendly approach, telling the girl that he's a detective sent from the police department. Scarlet was surprised by how Chase's attitude changed so suddenly. Then the girl asked them to come in. Inside the apartment, Chase felt amazed by its beauty. But Scarlet finds it suspicious because the place is overly tidy, making her wonder if anyone actually lives there. Surprised by Scarlet's words, the woman responded, saying she cleans when she's worried because her son is missing. Chase is really thinking hard when he understands how serious the problem is. In her thoughts, Scarlet wants to tell Chase that the girl is a sinner, but she couldn't say it. Chase asked Scarlet to say sorry to the girl for what she did. While gently holding Scarlet's shoulders, he told the girl that Scarlet wouldn't speak anymore. The girl simply stared angrily at Scarlet, feeling upset. Chase attempted to calm things down. Then he took a deep breath and sighed heavily. He shared with us that he lost his baby daughter when she was very young. That's why he decided to work on this case. Chase understood the girl's pain and promised to assist her. Then the girl's attitude shifted, and she felt happy with what Chase said. Next, the girl asked them to have a seat, and she said she would prepare some tea for them. While they were all sitting at the table, Chase asked what happened to her son. The mom said her son vanished on his way home from school a week ago. She's been really worried ever since. But Scarlet thought why she waited a whole week before saying anything, which seems a bit strange. Then Chase asked what her son's name was. The lady said her son's name was Elijah. He then wanted to know how old Elijah was. She said he was about 6. Chase became much focused when he heard that information from her. Scarlet felt worried when Chase suddenly became serious. Chase asked the mom what she meant when she said her kid was 6, really focusing on the word was, which means it's something that already happened. This question surprised the lady so much that she couldn't say anything. Chase wondered why the mother talked about her kid in the past tense when the child was just gone. Chase felt unsure about what had truly happened to the kid. He thought the mother used past tense because he believed she had harmed her child. The woman was surprised by what Chase said. She pointed her fingers at each other, shaking with worry. All of a sudden, she lowered her head and told Chase firmly that she didn't harm his son. Chase furiously demanded why she was stuttering. He made her answer him properly. He asked her again how she caused his son's death, suggesting things like drowning him, throwing him into a river, and hoping he'd decay until someone discovered him. The woman was shocked and couldn't find her words. Chase was really angry at the woman and couldn't understand why she would hurt her child. Chase found it hard to accept that a mother could harm his son, so he fumbled with his gun. But then Scarlet intervened and prevented him from acting. Chase was surprised by Scarlet's sudden shout and just stared at him intensely. Scarlet thought Chase's way of questioning the lady was not right for his job. Chase suddenly got angry, and Scarlet couldn't believe he was reaching for his gun. If Chase attacked the lady and went to jail, he wouldn't be helpful to Scarlet, so she had to keep him calm. The three of them were still in the dining room, with silence all around. Then, out of the blue, Chase stood up and asked Scarlet if they could leave. Scarlet followed him, and as they were about to leave, she looked back at the lady still sitting there. The lady looked really mad and surprised by what happened. Outside, Chase walked too fast, leaving Scarlet trailing behind. Scarlet wondered why he was behaving like that. He continued walking silently. Suddenly, Chase stopped and called out to Scarlet. Then, he asked her a question. He changed his feelings to being like a kid and asked her if she enjoys video games. Back at Chase's place, they're both sitting in front of the computer. Scarlet replied that she likes computer games to help him feel better, but she hasn't really played one before. With enthusiasm, he showed Scarlet how to play. He introduced the game named Fakecraft, where they have to create a character. When they began playing, it asked them to pick a character. Then Scarlet picked a zombie character. Scarlet didn't just pick any ordinary zombie, she went for a necromancer. Chase found it a little daring, but he was okay with it. He then asked Scarlet to choose a name for her character. She typed in the username GrimReaper666_. Scarlet felt satisfied and let out a mischievous sigh. Chase learned a great deal from Scarlet's character. In the game, Scarlet's character emerged in the world and was given a quest by default. However, she refused, insisting she wanted to engage in combat instead. It seemed like history repeating itself for her. Then someone who was better than her came along. She wasn't sure if she could handle them. But then she got defeated, and she couldn't believe it. She asked Chase angrily why he could do that. Chase explained that she could defeat others too if she played more, and he was just ahead of her. Still interested in the game, she asked how she could beat him. Chase happily told her that she needed to play more to get stronger, offering her the choice to advance in the game or get better gear. Knowing this, Scarlet went back to playing the game again. With strong focus and determination, she asked Chase to show her how to do it. This surprised him, as he didn't expect her sudden determination. Despite his surprise, he agreed to teach her. Hours went by, and Scarlet kept on learning heaps from Chase. He shared some tricks for the game with her too. Out of the blue, Scarlet asked him why he had taken her along today. Surprised by Scarlet's question, he told her that things didn't go as planned today. There was another reason he brought Scarlet, but he ended up getting angry. He thinks the lady definitely killed his son. People like her should suffer in hell. Scarlet just watched him as he shared those thoughts. She smiled and told her she got it. In the lady's home, the clock reads 11:38. She's washing dishes. Then she hears a knock on her door. She pauses to see who could be there. It makes her nervous, wondering who it might be. Scarlet stood calmly by the door. Then the lady glanced through the small hole in the door. She saw Scarlet and recognized her. She felt angry and wondered why Scarlet was there, noticing something different about her eyes. The door slowly opened with a creak, and she questioned Scarlet about her purpose. She firmly stated she didn't want to talk to her and insisted that if Scarlet needed to speak, she should bring the detective along. Scarlet gripped the doorknob tightly. With force, she pushed the door wide open, startling the lady inside. The lady, surprised, demanded to know what Scarlet was up to. Scarlet, angry, approached the lady with her hands raised. Next, she called forth her scythe from its place. Now, with her scythe in hand, she was prepared to end the lady's life. The girl feels very worried about what's going on. Then Scarlet said they'd see each other in hell. Then Scarlet sliced the girl's head off. Then they were suddenly in hell. Satan thinks having kids is great, more people will do bad things, and he'll punish them later. But when parents hurt their children, it's like they're doing the devil's bidding. The girl felt like she was in a terrible place. Then, the devil told her she wasn't just in a bad spot, but in one of the worst parts of it, which is the 5th level, and she'd stay there forever. He said birds would come and eat her body, leaving only bones behind. The girl was terrified. He also said her body would keep growing back, just for the birds to eat it again. Satan looked pleased with Scarlet's offering of a sinner. She smiled devilishly, thinking it was a perfect spot for the girl she named Miss Filicide. The girl struggled against the rope around her neck, desperate to escape hanging. Tears streamed down her face as she sobbed, admitting that her son was going to die anyway. She told Satan her son was ill, and she couldn't afford treatment. As a mother, she couldn't bear to see him suffer and just wanted his pain to end quickly. Satan chuckled, highlighting her desire for her son to pass away swiftly. He wondered about her idea of mercy by hurting him badly, cutting him into small pieces, and getting rid of them in the toilet. The woman was shocked and couldn't say a word. Then the devil said she couldn't deceive him. To him, the woman is a sinful person until the end. Then Satan started to punish the woman, leaving her hanging forever. As for Scarlet, it's just a terrible murder. She thought the girl was really gross. The woman is still having a hard time and said she just wants to be somebody. She said that when she was young, she wrote a story. It's about a girl who can make wishes come true. Remembering when she was a kid and her parents were fighting because she wrote silly stories. Then one of her friends from the literature club really wanted to read it. Then she asked the guy how he liked it. At the beginning, the boy just looked at her quietly. After that, he cried a lot and said her story was really good. He moved closer to her and urged her to share it with a publisher or anyone. Anna couldn't believe his reaction, and he said the world needed to read her amazing story. Later at home, her mother called her name. She told Anna she received a letter and asked if she entered a contest. Anna felt nervous, thinking her mom might be angry, but then her mom told her she won. Then her mom said that if she kept earning money from it, she could go to college. In a tough situation, Anna cries while sharing her life story. But she kept getting low marks and mostly failed her tests. Even though she studied hard, it was tough for her to pass. She confessed that she barely made it through graduation. When the time came, she finished her studies. Her friend asked what to do next, and she said it would depend on her parents or she could just stay with them. Her friend was surprised and couldn't reply. Then he said he was starting a new company and needed a writer. Anna was shocked. She couldn't say anything in response. She asked her parents for money, but they said no because they thought she might spend it on games. Her mom reminded her that she almost failed college and never won any contests. Her dad said she needed to act more mature. When she said she didn't want to get married or have kids, her parents ignored her. Anna got many insults and was even compared to her sister. Now, she wishes she had been stronger and said no to them. Her parents arranged for her to meet a man. Anna didn't feel anything special for him. There was no bond between them. But it didn't matter because they were told to marry each other. Then one day, she found out she was going to have a baby. She gave birth to a baby boy. But one day, her husband left them. Anna asked her parents for help with raising her son. But they said they were too busy taking care of her sister. Her mom didn't stop there. She insulted Anna, saying her husband left her because she couldn't manage and questioned why she had a child with him if he wasn't faithful. One day, Anna's son caught her eye. He said he wasn't feeling well and blood was in his mouth. This scared Anna, and she didn't know what to do. She tried to take him to the hospital, but it cost too much money. Feeling helpless, Anna considered a terrible thought, ending her son's life while he slept. She wondered where the happiness she had been promised had gone. Looking at her son closely, she questioned if she was making the right choice. For Anna, her son's condition seemed to be getting worse, and she couldn't afford any medical help. The only choice she had was to end his life. Then she decided she's done wrong and been foolish. She wept as she shared her story, insisting it was true. Next, she made a plea to both Satan and Scarlet. Anna thought carefully about her words. She asked them to tell God she's sorry for her actions if they meet him. Then she was lifted up for her punishment to start. Scarlet now is back in the waking world. She walks along the sidewalks, her mind drifting. She keeps walking, still lost in thought. She recalls Anna and the story she shared. Scarlet can't help but feel sorry for her. Anna was finally hung to begin her punishment, but then it doesn't feel right for her. She keeps on thinking about her. For Scarlet, Anna is definitely a sinner, but her life is also messed up. She had no choice but to end her son's life, yet killing is always wrong. Then she asked someone above if there was a solution to their problem. This left Scarlet silent, lost in thought. She still looked up, as if reaching for someone in the sky. The world is big, and people are too focused on their own lives. Scarlet wondered why the world seemed so unpleasant lately. In the distance, a lady yelled out as a boy grabbed her purse. The boy then walked past Scarlet. Scarlet felt really angry about the boy stealing the purse. She thought about helping the girl, and her eyes grew wide with the idea. The boy sprinted into the shadowy corner of the alley. He shook the bag he had, curious about its contents. He rummaged through the bag, finding things scattered messily. Disappointment filled him as he found nothing useful inside. To him, it seemed like a waste of time, just as Scarlet approached from a distance. Scarlet walked up to the boy. As she got closer, she asked him if he had a family. The boy looked at Scarlet. Then Scarlet asked him more if he took things to feed himself or his family. The boy was surprised and cursed at Scarlet. Then Scarlet decided if he was truly someone who did wrong without a real reason. The boy felt really afraid. He was down on the ground, telling Scarlet to stay away. Even though the boy said that, Scarlet was thinking she'd still end his life. In her mind, Scarlet said she didn't care about some made-up rules of right and wrong. She had a goal: to kill one sinner every day. Then, the boy grabbed a weapon from behind him. He lifted the gun towards Scarlet and told her to step away. Scarlet was shocked when the boy showed a gun. As they stood facing each other, she warned him it's risky. The boy was afraid for his life and couldn't respond. Worried about his future, he called Scarlet a monster. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. Scarlet felt shocked when the shot hit her. She thought she might die. But to her surprise, it didn't hurt. The boy kept shooting at her. Her dress tore, her cape sliced, and her costume ripped as she moved forward. Despite the damage, Scarlet pressed on toward the boy. He cried and trembled in fear for his life. Still clutching his gun, he tried to shoot her. With each shot, fear was clear on his face. Scarlet watched as the bullet came closer to her. Quickly, she used her ripped cape to stop the bullet. With her skill, she caught and crushed the bullet. Releasing it, the bullet dropped to the ground. Now Scarlet couldn't see, unsure of what occurred. She really wants to stop the bad person from doing more harm. Scarlet lifted her sharp scythe, getting ready to end his life. The young boy lay there, hoping Scarlet would show him kindness because he's just a foolish kid. He told Scarlet he wouldn't steal anymore. Suddenly, Scarlet swung her scythe at the boy. Scarlet gives the boy what he's earned. She thinks it's not okay, just that he won't take things that aren't his. She keeps telling him angrily that stopping isn't everything. Scarlet keeps hitting the boy. Finally, she delivers the last hit, lifting her big knife, ending the boy's life. Then Scarlet halted her attack. With fury in her voice, she said she'd clean the world of all wrongdoers. She believed she could avoid punishment herself. Scarlet's face changed, showing fangs. She vowed to improve the world. She began her quest, starting with the detective. Scarlet felt really upset about what was happening in the world. She couldn't believe how many bad people there were. She thought it was wrong and made her feel sick. She wondered how long it would take to get rid of all the bad people. She thought the world shouldn't have people like that, and it made her feel disgusted. As she got closer to Chase's apartment door, she was still really angry. She was determined to punish Chase for being a bad person. Then she grabbed the doorknob and turned it to open the door. As she walked in, she closed the door with a loud bang. Then she was surprised by what she saw. Chase didn't have his shirt on and was getting dressed. Scarlet couldn't say anything. She was just shocked by what she saw. Then Chase told her to wait because he was still putting on his clothes. Chase quickly put on his clothes, feeling annoyed because Scarlet didn't knock before coming in. While rushing, he fell down. After finishing dressing, he stood up and asked Scarlet if she saw his nipples. Scarlet replied with a yes. Angry that Scarlet saw his body, he warned her not to do it again. To change the subject, she said she needed to borrow his computer. Then something troubled Scarlet. She pondered why she had felt so angry just a moment ago. She looked at him, barely recalling anything, feeling it was a basic instinct. Scarlet opened Chase's computer while he was on his phone. As he's busy on his phone, he remembers Scarlet. He starts to wonder where she went. Then Scarlet looks at him. She thinks she might ask him something. She then asks Chase if he thinks murder can ever be justified. Chase is surprised by Scarlet's question. He answers with a quick yes. Scarlet turns towards his direction. She asks why Chase answered so quickly. She fixed her gaze towards the mark on Chase, indicating that he's one of the sinners. Chase said he had been thinking about it. Then he asked Scarlet the same. Scarlet said she wasn't sure because if you kill someone, you become a killer too. Then she said maybe in certain cases, it could be different. But Chase didn't agree with her first statement. He says if you have a bunch of pretty flowers in a garden and one ugly weed pops up, it can ruin everything by wrapping around the flowers. A good gardener would pull out the weed completely instead of waiting for it to magically turn into a flower. Scarlet disagreed, saying it's quite arrogant for one flower to think it's the gardener. But Chase disagreed with her, saying there really isn't. He said society has a way for flowers to judge weeds, and he's part of it as a detective. He also said there are lots of bad things in the world, like cults, criminals, and gangs such as the Red Spades. Scarlet felt surprised when he brought up the gang's name. She remembered the woman she had to hurt who mentioned the same gang to her. She thought about that name again, Red Spades. Then Chase wondered why she asked such a question. She said that asking tough questions is the best way to really get to know someone. Chase wasn't completely convinced by Scarlet's answer, but he agreed anyway. He then continued doing something on his phone. After that, he suggested that Scarlet take a shower. This made Scarlet angry, and she told him he was being impolite. Then he pointed out that she smelled like blood. And it wasn't the first time. This made Scarlet feel amazed, watching Chase from afar. Chase playfully asked if there's a job chopping meat part-time, saying there's nothing wrong with working with your hands. Scarlet chuckled along, saying it's just a dull job. Chase joked that her working hours are odd, and she's quite sneaky, suggesting Scarlet could have been upfront with him. Scarlet agreed, feeling a bit embarrassed. They both shared a laugh over their banter. Yet, deep down, they both hesitated to fully trust each other. Afterward, Scarlet decided to take a shower before saying goodbye to Chase. She closed the shower door behind her. Inside, Scarlet stood in silence, pondering. Eventually, she resolved to wait until Chase solves the case X before taking any drastic action. Scarlet began to suspect Chase's motives, feeling he's not being entirely truthful to keep her close, but out of self-interest. Then Scarlet promised herself that when the time came and they weren't useful to each other anymore, she'd be the one to make the first move. Scarlet then took off her clothes to wash them. After a little while, Scarlet finished her bath and began drying her hair. Then she realized she hadn't showered since becoming a Grim Reaper. She started putting on her clothes. As she was about to put on her t-shirt, something caught her eye. She stared at it curiously, wondering what it was. Then she saw herself in the mirror. There were scars on the upper part of her body that she didn't recognize. Scarlet's eyes widened as she discovered this. She tried to sway from side to side to examine them further, thinking about who she really was. The room was quiet until Scarlet burst through the bathroom door. She joked about Chase's clothes, calling them silly. Chase looked puzzled by her words. Approaching him, Scarlet explained she washed her clothes and had to wear the least silly thing she could find. Chase asked if she thought about what she put on. He teased her about wearing a guy's clothes, implying she might look like his girlfriend. This annoyed Scarlet. She firmly stated it would never happen. Chase was irritated by her remark. As he got better, she playfully poked Scarlet, wondering why she reacted that way. Scarlet replied seriously. To her, being in a relationship likely means love, which she finds troublesome. She explained it as a chemical reaction, something she could easily talk herself out of if she ever experienced it by misfortune. She also said that only a complete fool wouldn't think about it logically. This silenced Chase. He found Scarlet's perspective on love astonishing. But then he disagreed, calling Scarlet naive. She felt really mad. Then she told Chase not to get too worked up. It's like getting over being scared of high places. Chase asked if she knew what she was talking about from personal experience. Scarlet hadn't been through it, and she was about to explain more. But Chase interrupted her, telling her to be quiet. Scarlet was shocked. Then Chase got up and said goodnight, heading to bed. Before leaving, she said they're going to his office tomorrow and warned Scarlet to stay quiet when they are there. The next day, the streets bustle with activity. The sky remains clear. Both Chase and Scarlet head towards the police department. Scarlet follows behind, wondering why Chase is in a sour mood. Chase walks silently. Scarlet is irritated by Chase's attitude and puzzled by why he's upset. Chase stays silent. But then Scarlet starts feeling guilty for feeling that way. She wrestles with her thoughts about Chase's anger. Chase keeps walking. He stopped when Scarlet called his name. Turning, he looked at Scarlet. His face changed to look angry at Scarlet. Scarlet smiled back at him. She hesitated and asked Chase to forgive her for what happened last night. Chase didn't respond to her apology. Scarlet was surprised when Chase burst into laughter. Chase asked why Scarlet looked tense. And then she begged Chase not to laugh as she gathered her courage to speak. But Chase already knew that, and despite everything, he was happy that someone like Scarlet apologized to him. He got lost in deep thinking. Next, he called for Scarlet's name. He said he'd share something personal with her. They sought a quiet spot to talk. They settled in a secluded alley for privacy. Both sat down, waiting for one to begin. Scarlet asked why they were there. Chase wanted to explain his actions from yesterday. That's why he brought her there. He asked if she still wanted to learn about him, and she said yes. In Scarlet's mind, she just wanted to learn about Chase's Case X, hoping for free information. Chase was ready to start his story. As he began to share his tale, he went back to a time when he was in college. He paused when he noticed Scarlet giving him a strange look. And then Scarlet playfully said she was picturing a cartoon for girls. Chase felt irritated and asked if she still wanted to hear his story. She quickly apologized and said she did. So Chase continued. On his first day of college, he bumped into a girl. In that moment, it felt like time stood still and all he could see was her. Suddenly, the girl got his attention, but she seemed annoyed. Chase struggled to speak. He then apologized to the girl, but she still wasn't accepting it and remained annoyed with him. Suddenly, the girl gave him a strong push. She quickly ran off, cautioning him to be more careful. At that moment, Chase was immediately smitten. However, Scarlet argued that the girl simply pushed him and insulted him. But Chase insisted that the girl was attractive. Scarlet just grinned in response. Afterward, Chase kept bumping into her. He hoped for a chance to chat with her. Finally, he found one. He asked the girl if he could be part of her club because he really enjoys old-timey books. But the truth is, he doesn't really like them at all. Scarlet said she found it impressive how males keep going even when it's hard. Chase agreed with her. From then on, Chase and the girl started chatting. Chase ended up learning a lot about her. She was really smart and interesting, though a bit rude to him. He didn't mind it. He thought it was part of her charm. They kept talking regularly, and she taught him about some books she'd read. One day, while they were in the park, someone she knew greeted them. The girl's acquaintance asked if it was really her, as they hadn't seen each other in years. Then they asked if she was with her boyfriend, meaning Chase. Chase was just about to confirm her questions. All of a sudden, the girl halted him and punched him in the face. Chase felt pain from the punch, but still managed to smile. The girl cautioned him not to say embarrassing things and questioned him about complaining when hit by a girl. At that moment, Chase's optimistic view began to fade. The girl kept insulting him, questioning why she would date someone like Chase. Chase continued to apologize while the girl kept hurling hurtful words at him. Soon, Chase began to bleed from the punch, yet the girl didn't care. He said Chase wasn't doing well. After they split, he couldn't stand up for himself. Chase thought he was smart, but his feelings got in the way. Scarlet was shocked by what she heard. She remembered what she said to him. She remembered saying you're silly if you don't think clearly about love. This worried Scarlet. Chase thanked Scarlet for bringing him back to his senses and said sorry for sharing too much. But Scarlet just said sorry back. This surprised Chase and made him curious. Scarlet felt really bad for what she said to Chase last night. She said she hasn't experienced love, yet still talks nonsense about it to someone. Chase just stared at Scarlet, unable to find words to reply. Then he told Scarlet he appreciates her honesty despite the situation. Scarlet then realized Chase was telling the truth about his story. He's made mistakes, but she doesn't think he's like Jordan. She realized she missed something. She's curious to learn more about him. His story seems more complex than she thought. Then her eyes widened. They're still in the alley, and she sees red symbols on the wall. As she looked closer, they're red spades. This discovery surprised Scarlet. As she continued to gaze at it, she remembered something. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to contribute further, you can now buy me a coffee. Every little bit helps in creating more quality content for you. Just click the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video.